Hello, and welcome back to the Pink Sofa Hour. I am your host, Pedro, and I'm joined today by Mike Lamitola. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Lamitola, you got it.
Lamitola.
Yep.
That's that's kind of a cool name. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Connecticut, but it's Italian.
It's Italian.
That name has its roots
So
there.
it's like more like Lamitola.
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 Yeah. Lamitola. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's
Cool.
where the emphasis is.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. You
Yeah.
and Scooter.
And Scooter's back in the studio. He is recovering from his little, brush with death, one could say. How how's your day been?
It's been good. It's Saturday.
You just went out on a little ride up here in Boulder.
I did. Yeah. Got here a little early, and you were able to walk Scooter, so I took the longboard out along the Boulder Trail here.
Beautiful.
It is a beautiful
Yeah.
spot right there.
I saw in your live broadcast on Instagram that you made it all the way down to Baseline, where the students' apartments were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably, I don't know, I went about 15 minutes towards downtown, so I got about that far with
Yeah.
about Baseline. Yeah, it's beautiful out, and the water's just raging down there.
We've been getting a lot of rain, which is great, but wow, it's a lot. It's a lot of rain. Connecticut, the East Coast in general, I mean, I'm from Miami. I'm very familiar with rain. But in the 5 years that I've been here in Colorado, it has not really been like this here.
Does Miami get, I mean, I know when I moved here 18 years ago, and it was, summer was like, somewhere between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, you'd always get like a 15, 20 minute, rain shower. And
Sure.
It was great. And then now that's not what we've been getting. Then we went from no precipitation for the last few years, and now it's just been nonstop.
Yeah.
Which for folks like us with allergies hasn't been too bad. I've kind of enjoyed it.
Right. My head is pounding right now.
Sorry.
But anyway, I feel like we're just drifting off the subject here. You're on the Pink Sofa Hour. You're not on the pink allergy weather.
It's a comfy sofa.
Thank you.
Just wondering how it was going to be.
It's not too bad. I appreciate you being here, and I would like to ask you questions about your music and you as a person.
Not about weather, all right.
You've been here in Colorado for 18 years.
Yep.
How have you been enjoying that? How has Colorado changed in 18 years? I feel like as a fairly recent newcomer, 5 years here in the making, it's I've already noticed things,
Yeah.
But how has it been for you?
It's been great. I will try to answer that in the lane of music, because I can go in many directions with that question. But when I came out here, I moved to Boulder from Connecticut in 2005. And at the time, I was in North Boulder in the Rock and Roll
Here he
Cafe.
comes.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this place, because it's closed well before you got here. I would do open mics and play occasionally on weekends at the Rock and Roll Cafe, which was this awesome place on Arapahoe. Just wherever the Rocky Mountains is, there's like a little Indian restaurant. I think it's back that way a little bit.
Oh yeah, Tandoori or whatever.
Yes, so it was in the upstairs of that. It was an incredible place. That was kind of like the first place in Boulder that I got to go out and play music. And then since then, things have changed, and I've moved to Lafayette and then Erie and started a family, and I have 2 boys. And then now it's more. Still try to play in Boulder as much as I can, but there's definitely between Denver and Fort Collins, there's a lot to get out and try to play in.
Yeah, I think it's quite a privilege for me, I think, to have somebody who's been so familiar with the music scene, has played in open mics for such a long time here. I think that Tandoori open mic is still running, or fundamentally at least has started itself back up.
Oh, they had one at that restaurant.
It's not in the restaurant, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, you might not know, but it's something's next door to it. I'm not sure if it's upstairs or next door, and they just call it the Tandoori Next Story open mic.
I'll have to check that out.
It's really funny, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to hear
might bring some old
somebody
memories.
took the reins. Rock and Roll Cafe was just a cool place, and I don't, you never know really why places close down. They always seemed full when I was there, but people have their reasons.
Yeah.
It was a cool place.
That's awesome. And I think, you know, people seem to be taking the reins a lot more in general in the music community in Boulder. There's a lot more music events, especially after, you know, the whole dark times that everyone went through in 2020. It feels like things are really starting to get more comfortable with congregating and enjoying spaces and hearing live music, and musicians are obviously 100% here for it.
Yeah.
As far as the music scene, from your perspective, goes and how it is that it's shifted, what have you noticed as a musician playing for as long as you have here in Colorado? Any particular trends or, you know, ideas that have circulated?
That's a good question, because I think that dark period you mentioned, it's hard to not bring that up when you talk about the trends, because for a while going into 2019 and 2020, there was I can't remember the name of it now, but below the Boulderado Hotel.
License number one.
License number one, that's it.
I've DJ'd down there before.
Yeah, there was a great open mic scene there, and it was run by.
They used to call it the Catacombs too.
Yes, when I moved here, it was the Catacombs.
Mm-hmm.
But Fox Feather is a band, a local band, and the two girls that that's pretty much their band. They used to run that, and that was great. It was a good place to meet other musicians. Playing out in gigs are great, and that's what I love doing now, and it's what I'm trying to do more of. But there was something really great about like the open mic community, because you just get to meet a lot of other musicians that are coming out to try new songs, or you can usually find people to pair up with. And I met some great people there, and then that just stopped. So
yeah,
was it 2 years? They didn't open up for a while after that. So then everyone just kind of had to rebuild something new from there. When I came, the first show I played coming out of that was at E. Simpson Coffee Company in Lafayette, and they had just moved into a new location, and they were really pushing live music. They had a big community night. They still have it every Thursday during the spring and summer.
Nice.
That is a great event. Super supportive community. I've had some really fun shows there. I have one coming in September there this year. That's just like everybody comes out. It's Thursday night. There's food trucks. The place fills up. I had my album release in January in there upstairs.
You said it's called East Simpson Coffee?
East Simpson Coffee Company, yeah.
See, I actually have started putting together a calendar of all open mics, open jams, weekly events for musicians, and I will be releasing that fairly soon, so keep an eye out for that. But that's one I hadn't heard of, so I'll have to look it up and get it on the calendar.
Yeah, they Thursday night is community night, and
Thursday.
it's one band that plays from 6 to 8, and there's food trucks. But they also have, I haven't been there, I know the guy who runs it though. He's a local musician, JD Cordelay. He has an open mic there.
Oh, he plays in Intergalactic Peace Jelly?
I know he's got a few
Isn't
things
that
going
strange?
on. Maybe. I couldn't tell you the bands. He's been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
Because played thousands of shows.
I think I'm fairly certain I met him. Very talented dude, longer hair.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He's a great guitar player.
Great guitar player. Yep.
He runs an open mic at East Simpson on Tuesday nights, so you can add that to your calendar.
Cool.
I don't know if it's like every Tuesday or the first Tuesday of the month, but that's something he just started, and I think it's been going pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up open mics as a community building sort of thing, because it is underrated as far as what happens around the effort that goes into showing up for an open mic. A lot of people don't realize it, but musicians are typically pretty hard on themselves when it comes to how it is that they sound, and they will work very hard when they know that people are listening.
Mm-hmm.
And fundamentally, I think being able to breach the barrier between people are paying to listen to me and people are listening to me and enjoying it, but not paying me, is sort of this strange limbo that people find themselves in, and it helps alleviate a lot of doubt.
Yeah.
And it also helps so much when you hear other musicians where they're at, and you go up to them to talk to them and say, hey, you sounded great. And they tell you, hey, you sounded great. And there's this mutual sort of support and rapport around being a musician that you don't really get because most people, you know, have jobs, or
Yeah.
they also work on themselves in very private sort of settings. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent of the open mic, open jam, open anything kind of community, because it fundamentally brings people closer together and under each other's scrutiny, which then kind of allows people to flourish
Yeah.
when they're working, when they see that their work is being seen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how everybody feels about open mics, 'cause I think there's mixed feelings about, you know, if you're a musician trying to get to a certain place, then you might not want to do open mics anymore. Like, obviously playing paid gigs is great, and it's nice to go out and play 2 hours and have people come and support you. For me, you know, it was kind of twofold. One, it's a great place, especially when you move to a new city, to go meet other musicians or just see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I was thought Boulder had a really strong, good musical presence at their open mics too.
Yeah.
I know, you know, we all started out going to open mics, barely being able to play. Also, it was like there's that
Yeah.
avenue for it, and then
Yeah.
there's just going out to meet other musicians and see what's going on, and you know, so it was nice.
Yeah, and you know, tremendous sort of thing that happens also is people get to know you as a person, how it is that you interact with other people. Because, like, you know, there's obviously very, very talented musicians out there, but sometimes they're not necessarily so nice to people, which also indicates to other people, like, well, you know, he's really good and I'd like to play a show with him, but do I really want to, like, you know, spend a lot of time, like, figuring that out with this person who's kind of difficult. So yeah, it allows people to showcase themselves in a couple of different ways, which is fundamentally really healthy and helpful for the musical community in general.
Yeah, it's funny we got there. I haven't played an open mic since COVID, but I've been fortunate enough to be able to be playing shows regularly. And I have some friends that I met there that are now running their own open mics, so that's kind of a fun thing too.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes I think it's funny, people have sort of this sort of relationship to open mics based on whether or not it is that they did a lot of them growing up, or whether or not it is that they have, you know, certain experiences around them. And even like really talented people will come through an open mic. People do get paid.
Yeah.
Because they just kind of like playing in front of people that, you know, it's like an impromptu audience, and you don't know, maybe they're testing out some crazy ideas.
Yeah, it's a
Whatever.
good place for that.
It's definitely the place for that. But this is the place to talk about Mike Lamitola. So I have some more questions.
All right.
What was your first instrument?
Piano. Third grade, I started taking piano lessons. My sister and I.
Did you decide to start taking piano lessons, or was it your parents?
My dad was and still is a musician. He plays out in Connecticut, but he played professionally in bands for years. So there was always guitars around, but at that age, you know, I would pick it up and I didn't actually attempt to learn anything, and it just, you know, we got a piano when we moved into this new house when I was in third grade.
Yeah.
Because my sister wanted to play. So it was kind of like, oh, she's going to take lessons, I may as well too. So we did that for a couple of years, till I think maybe 3 years. And then, I mean, I try not to regret anything, but if there's anything that I can say, it's stopping piano lessons, because, you know, you just, anything you could have done more, that would have been good. But my teacher was, I won't even go into that. It wasn't the best teacher-student experience. My sister can echo that.
That's
you
one of
know,
those
very
things.
old school, like hardcore. You're not playing this right. You know, kind of
Smack you a little bit,
yeah. Swearing and smacking. So that didn't last long, and I played I wanted to play saxophone in 5th grade, and they start you with a clarinet.
Yeah.
That's another one. I'm like, man, if I just played through. Because honestly, I have lots of guitars and different instruments at home now, and I like to try just my hand at all of them just for fun.
Sure.
Guitar is my primary instrument.
When did it become your primary instrument?
Probably around 8th grade. That was when I got into the Beatles, and that was it. At the time, so that was 1992. So the 90s, the Seattle scene was coming on the radio, and I was really big into that. Pearl Jam and Nirvana. But the Beatles were the one that made me want to start playing a lot. And then all of that stuff just came in. So guitar was it.
That's I think an experience that a lot of people can echo is starting on piano and then eventually migrating to guitar because they really fell in love with a particular rock band or particular sound or just the joy of composing on it.
Yeah.
When did you start composing music?
In high school, like pretty loosely, I was learning a lot of songs that I liked, anything that was coming out then. But I would write some pretty stupid songs, or at least I think they were.
I mean, we all did.
I don't remember any of them. I think the earliest song I played, and it's still wrote like 25 years ago. But I would just, the high school lyrics. And then college was when I got a lot more serious about it and, started writing things down and remembering them and, just trying out different things.
Writing out charts.
Yeah.
Showing them to people.
Piano was great because you learn how to read music, but as soon as I started playing guitar, I wasn't, I wasn't getting sheet music and reading it.
There really isn't
playing it.
So much sheet music around the guitar, unless you really dive into like the classical disciplines.
Yeah,
it takes the form of charts or tabs typically.
Then that's not
here's the
fun
chords.
for me to sit down and try to read through something.
Yeah. It can be a bit of a chore. That's cool though. I noticed you also like to sing.
I do.
Did singing start for you kind of as an early age? I find that people who have musical parents typically find themselves singing pretty much as soon as they can start yelling.
Yeah, I don't think I was, singing all over the house. I think it's just something. When I started playing, it was like I just wanted to learn guitar and like I wanted to play guitar, and then singing was just something. When you're 13, that's just something you do while you're playing the guitar because I wanted to learn these songs. And then I was at that time more aware of what my dad did. And he was, he's a singer and guitarist. So I think that would just seem like a natural thing for me. And then as I got older, like I said, the Beatles, Radiohead, those are two huge influences as far as like I really wanted to sing. Like Tom York and John Lennon, pretty much any British male singer made me want to sing.
Nice.
I think once having more role models like that, then you're like, all right, I want to do more of that.
It's important to have role models that you can respect and learn from, especially I think at the beginning of a musical career, which is I think one of the things about having difficult teachers like the piano instructor that really messes people up. So I'm glad to see that you're here today and have overcome these things.
I can't imagine. I've seen people grew up with some like pretty hardcore teachers and became brilliant musicians and instrumentalists at whatever they were learning. And I know like in the jazz world that's there was a very
it's a bit of a trope.
I'm trying to think of the movie now. The drummer.
Whip.
Is it Whiplash?
Whiplash?
Yeah.
Is it Whiplash?
It's Whiplash. really intense.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
know, it's like, I mean, that's the extreme. It was not that bad, but
Right,
you know, you never. No kid wants to sit and be yelled at by a teacher.
No, and I think a lot of that is sort of just like this internalized kind of like generational trauma. Like I lived through this and I became a good musician.
Right.
So this is the only way.
Yeah. I like
Which-
a more passive approach.
Yeah, it seems a little silly in retrospect with the knowledge around so many things that we have today. By the way, to anybody who's hanging out in the chat room for this episode, I do have a little monitor that I can use to read your comments, and if you have anything you'd like to ask Mike, usually we reserve some questions for the end of the episode, but feel free to make your comments and ask questions, and sometimes I'll relay them. Apparently we were right, it is Whiplash.
It is.
Very cringy.
Thank you.
Thanks Lisa.
I'll rewatch that.
So, you recently released an album in 2022, but 10 years ago almost, you released your first album. Fitting Out.
Fitting out, yeah.
Fitting Out. Is that kind of a play on fitting in?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about 2013. What inspired you to write Fitting Out?
I had
And where did you come up with that name?
I had a friend up in Carbondale, which is out by like the Aspen area there.
Yeah.
They had a studio. So I had wanted to, at that point I was just doing a lot of home recordings, like everything, you know. I had been in studios with bands previously back in Connecticut, but for my own stuff, it was always home recorded. And I had like a handful of 5 or 6 songs that I wanted to get recorded. So I went up to his studio and did 5 of them, and then I put them on a little EP. And at the time, I was going by the name Yellow Gleason.
Yellow
Gleason. Yeah, I still like.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, that was a combination of Jackie Gleason taking his last name and then the color yellow. So it was kind of just a fun. I don't have to use my name. I can have an alias. But that was the MySpace days. You know, I had all my stuff up on MySpace.
Oh yeah.
And then I was in this. I did this holistic health coaching and nutrition program based out of New York, and that was like a life-changing thing in 2012. And in that program, there was this idea of fitting out brought up. That, you know, we spend our, you know, it was like a turning point in your life when you're in your 30s. We spend so much of our adolescence trying to fit in. And it was more of like finding your own flow, whatever it is, and fitting out. I mean, it's basically the complete opposite of trying to fit in. So I got inspired. I wrote a song called Fitting Out, and then I ended up moving that into the EP, and I kind of released it as that album.
I see.
I think that Spotify maybe had just, I don't know how long it had been around, but that was the first one that, you know, got put on Apple Music and all that.
Yeah, it is on Spotify.
Yeah, it got put up there, so.
So health coaching, is that sort of something that you do now? Or?
No, I mean, it's for me and the kids, I guess. I left corporate and worked with a doctor for a few years, and then, you know, as I started a family, kind of worked my way out of that. It's always there, you know. It's something.
Yeah.
I love. I have my hands in a lot of other things too.
Oh, I understand that all too well.
Yeah, it's you know, it's nice. It keeps me on my toes, and I like learning new things, whatever they are.
Me too. It's you know, it's good to know that. I feel like, are you an Aquarius?
No. I'm. Two answers. I am an Aries technically, but whatever. If you're really into astrology, which I don't know a lot about, however it works, I'm not actually really one of those. I think I've been told by like a Vedic astrologer that I actually really a Gemini, even though I've something with the other planets and moons.
Okay.
Somebody could probably answer this. So my Aries, like, for whatever everyone always said about an Aries, I was like, that just doesn't seem like me. And Gemini actually made a lot of sense. So, which I think we just came out of that Gemini period.
We'll have to ask our resident staff astrologer.
Are they here somewhere?
Yeah, he's right there. It's Scooter.
Scooter.
Yeah, he'll just howl when we get it right.
All right.
So 2022 was the next major release that you came out with, which was the Eighth Insight.
Yes.
So what's the first insight?
So that there is a first insight. That idea is based on the James Redford books, Celestine Prophecy.
Oh wait, I've heard of this.
Yes. That's 95, I think it was written and published, and he's since had, there was a 9th insight, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and I actually just finally found the 12th. I have not read it yet. But it was around, I just read it a few, I don't know, last year sometime, and that's, that's one of those life-changing books for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I guess it was a cult classic when it came out, and I'm sure it still falls under that title, but there is just so much in there about life and different perspectives and different ways to look at things. The Eighth Insight specifically, reading as there's a couple parts to that. One is just about like speaking your truth and inspiring other people, and then also there was a big part as a parent in constantly trying to learn about the best way to raise kids. There's a whole part about treating your kids not like kids, like talking to them as if they are the humans that they are, and it really is. I've tried to practice that as much as possible, and we don't give kids as much credit because we tend to just treat them like kids. Right, but when you talk to them as if they are humans, because they are, you give them a lot more credit. They're smart, intelligent, and they came into the world at this time for a reason. So there was a lot of thoughts and perspectives that fall under the Eighth Insight.
Right.
So that's why I named the album that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think that's not what I was necessarily expecting. I was hoping to just go through the list of what each insight is, but now that just seems so tedious. There is a song on the album called The Insights, or The Insight, Part 1 through 3.
Yes.
Right? So was that sort of an intention of creating, like, did you have parts 4 through 6, and then parts 7 through 8?
No. That's funny. Nobody's asked me that, and there is an answer to that. So that song I wrote is a tribute to my best friend who had passed away in 2018. And I did that song. The lyrics were, inspired in large about him and that loss. And then the music was it's a tribute to him and Pink Floyd in Shine On You Crazy Diamond, which is like his song. And if you're familiar with Pink Floyd and that song, it starts with parts 1, 2, and 3.
I see.
So there is a 4, 5, and 6, and it's not on the album because that's a very different song than anything else on the album. That was just something I put in there as like the 7th or 8th track. So yeah, that's where that parts 1 through 3 came from. There's a little Pink Floyd nod.
That is remarkable. You are very well read with your classic rock, obviously, and my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
That's tough, but I think immortalizing somebody in song is one of the best ways to do that, which also is kind of an homage to Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Sid Barrett, etc.
This is actually his guitar. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He lives on.
Yes.
Tell me what your fascination with owls is about.
I mean, they're owls. They're great.
Owls are cool. I mean, who doesn't like an owl? They're kind of
They are.
like much cooler pigeons.
Yeah, in like the spiritual sense, there's, depending on animal totems and spirit, they are
Sure.
like a very powerful spiritual animal.
Yeah.
And,
They sort of like represent wisdom.
yeah,
in
and
the
like
Greek mythology.
half on the other side of the veil and half in our world. That's kind of like how they live in the animal totem world. They also have a habit, and I have a habit of coming across them like everywhere.
I see.
Feathers, actual owls just show up like pretty regularly. So, it's always been just a strong. I got turned on to Ted Andrews, who is a very prominent writer of animal totems and has a book, Animal Speak. Actually, the doctor that I worked with turned me on to him in like 2012. There's been a lot of significant things that happened. And right when they happened, like an owl would just fly by me, or I'd go for a walk and there'd be an owl sitting there. So there's also a strong connection to my friend Dave, that passed away with owls too. So yeah, they just keep showing up.
That is really interesting because I actually have a little owl sitting right there.
Yes, you do.
I don't know if you noticed.
They're there.
Yeah.
Is that like a piggy bank too?
Don't use it as one, but yeah, it is. I also worked for quite some time at a brewery whose logo is an owl.
Sanitas?
Sanitas.
Oh yeah.
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 I still host the open mic over there.
Do you? Oh,
do.
actually, my buddy is Josh. I don't know if you're on right now. He's a comedian.
Okay.
And I've been trying to plan a time to go over there with him.
Cool.
For that. Because I think that's like an open mic. It's not just music.
It's mostly music.
It's mostly music. Oh,
It's
well,
mainly
good to know.
music. Sorry.
Some of them
But-
are open to comedy too, so we might have to find another one.
Yeah, I haven't had anybody come up and ask me if they could do a comedy set. I have.
Interesting.
It hasn't been completely ruled out in my mind, but I feel like the momentum for the musical community is just so strong for
Yeah.
it at this point.
Is their logo still the owl?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
We changed that.
it's great. And
I should probably be drinking more Sanitas Brewers.
Sponsorship.
So,
Yeah, I had to mention that because that story is the same reason they picked the owl as their logo. Is because every time they got together, when they were founding it to discuss recipes or do brewing, there would always be like an owl hanging out. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I've had some really close encounters, but I gave you a little feather this
Yes.
evening, and I was walking around a trail near my house, and there was an owl in a tree, and like all of a sudden nobody's around. It's a very popular trail in Erie, and just nobody was over there. And I walked up to the thing, and just hung out for a few, and then it went to fly away, and a little feather just came out of it and floated around. And I put out my hand, and feather just landed there. So I do come across them pretty regularly. That helped identify. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's an owl feather. So now I know what all these other ones I found are.
I see.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, do you have any songs about owls? Because I feel like that's a missed opportunity if you don't.
Yeah, I have put lines about owls in a song. I don't know if I've ever written a song about an owl specifically, but they've made their way into songs.
Okay.
I can think of a couple that I don't think I even play those regularly.
I have a song that I ask pretty regularly. A question that I ask pretty regularly. What is your favorite song that you like to play? Out of your repertoire, not necessarily a cover.
Of my own stuff, Boxes is one that's on the Eighth Insight album.
Mm-hmm.
I do like playing that one. And then usually it's whatever I wrote last. So,
Okay.
right now my favorite song to play is the one that I just wrote in the last few weeks.
So not out yet.
Not out yet.
Any chance we're gonna get a little debut?
Yeah, I'll play that one because that's my favorite song to play now.
Would you like to play it now?
Yeah, we could do that, sure.
Let's do it.
All right.
We're about a little over halfway through the interview, by the way. So
Okay.
we can kind
It's a
of
good time to
blast through a couple of songs and keep chatting. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, this one, oh, well, we started this live stream off by talking about rain. So this I wrote during that, like when we first got those 3-4 days of just solid rain. My kids were jumping in this giant puddle at school. Like all they wanted to do when they got out of school was just go jump in this thing that was like 2 feet deep. So I had to send them with boots.
Whoa.
So after school, like, you cannot go in it before school, but afterwards, bring the boots. You can change in and have at it. So it started with that. That was kind of like what kicked it off. It was just sitting around and making up a song for the kids, and then it turned into a whole other song.
And this one's called Boxes.
No, this one is Puddles.
Puddles.
Yeah.
Okay, well that makes more sense.
I haven't given it I think Puddles is what we're going with for now.
I guess, a puddle's kind of like a box, like water.
Yeah, boxes. I'll tell you about boxes. I can play that one too.
Cool. Let's go ahead and get started on it then.
That one's a tuned down one.
appreciated that one.
Yeah, was that good? It was good. Good harmonies, buddy.
I love it when he just cranks his head back and just lets it rip.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the official mascot for the Pink Sofa Hour. A well-earned title, I would say.
That's good.
And that is the sort of Scooter test. If you can make him howl,
That's the test.
I think that's the test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked.
It worked.
And he's back at the paws.
Yeah, he does he's got some tasty feet. So, that was Puddles.
Puddles.
Lovely song.
Thanks.
Very, it's sort of like an observational kind of experience, you know? And I think that being able to be in the presence of something that you really appreciate and observe it kind of naturally leads to sometimes songs and lyrics and art.
Yeah. That's, as far as songwriting approaches, that is one I try to use as much as possible. You know, you have your like songs that are just about something that happened that become like, you know, they're very cathartic and it's good to get out. And then it's nice just to not put those aside and just, you know, take something like what's happening and, you know, and make it into a song.
Right.
And then it usually works out. If you get a good start, then, you know, the rest of the lyrics just kind of start filling in the blanks too. It usually takes off on it or something.
Sure, absolutely. That's, I guess, kind of the main process for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very distinctly important for artists in general to have sort of a refined appreciation for their surroundings, the phenomena that kind of is around them, because inspiration lies in all kinds of funny little moments and conversations and situations. And,
yes, it does.
And it's inspiring to see somebody write something beautiful about something very simple. It's some of the best kind of songwriting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I agree as far as other songs that are, you know, take those things on. Sometimes there's nothing more inspiring than seeing just like innocent kids playing in a giant puddle. You know, like it's just that is, if we could all just have more of that.
And I could definitely feel that in the you know, in not just the lyrics but sort of the emotional content around some of the note choices. I really like it when people throw in open strings into their chords. I think it's a really nice sound. Specifically on steel string acoustics, I think that it's just such a classic sound. Like Led Zeppelin used it a lot. Yeah, that droning sound just carries well on those. There's nothing like a new set of strings on an acoustic. Just drop some and leave them open. Like it feels pretty good. Yeah, it's got a lot of brightness to it. Yeah. So is your favorite color yellow, by the way? No, it's not. I would say I'm somewhere between green and blue, or a combination of the two. I see. Neither of those colors fit the name Yellow Gleason. Green Gleason, blue, you know, so I went with yellow, if that's why you're asking. I do like yellow. Sometimes I just like to ask. Oh, okay. People ask me all the time. What, if pink is your favorite color? And they just ask me what my favorite color is. Right, what is it? Okay. No kidding. Usually I just kind of look around like, what is well, it? You know, it could have started with the couch, and obviously you have this, you know, amazing program and this thing you're doing for local music in Boulder, which I love and is amazing, so thank you for doing that. It's like, well, then you have to build around the pink couch, so then everything becomes pink. But no, it makes more sense. I bought the couch before I had the idea for the show. Got it. Yeah, but definitely, I think I've probably grown in my appreciation for the color pink, as I've had to continue to recycle it in different ways. That's a good hat, by the way. I like thank you. Yeah, thank you. We'll make sure we got you on after the program, which, by the way, 6:45. Okay, is the current time. So if you have some more songs you'd like to get into, I know we kind of front loaded the conversation a little bit, but I felt like it was going really well. Yeah, well, let's play for a little bit. Yeah, let's play for a little bit. All right. What do you got for us next? I'll save a newer one since I just played one. I'll go back to the boxes.
This one, I had a conversation with a friend at a coffee shop, and she was talking about boxes in terms of like emotional baggage boxes that we accumulate is just moving place to place, and it was a really great conversation. And then I left. I was like, man, I texted her. I was like, can I use that? Because there's just this song brewing. Like, I need to use that idea. So 15 minutes after I got home from the coffee shop, I wrote this out. So that's where this came from. Boxes move all around, following me the towns I live. I haven't unpacked them yet, but when I need to, I'll reach for them. Everything I think I know all these familiar things, all this weight to carry, comfort we no longer need, and maybe it's time to set it all free. She takes the towns sometimes just need to get away. Sometimes it don't work out, sometimes it just completely breaks, and you're left standing there wondering which one of us made a mistake. Each time you left, you took with you more than with what you gave. And maybe it's time to let it all go. She takes the reins as she dries her pillowcase, freeing her away as she dries her feet, as she dries her feet.
Gotta love a nice little dissonant ending to a
The
song.
dissonance.
That's good. F over E.
I just realized I had a pink pick. That was
Oh.
not by.
It's okay if you planned it.
That was not planned.
Some people like to show up wearing pink. Some people,
I don't have a lot of pink things, but I have that.
Pink has the natural distinction of being easy to match with. It almost is hard to find a color that really clashes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Even when people have shown up in all black, it's
Black
actually
and pink's a
even
good combo.
cooler.
Yeah.
It's a great combination.
Well, by the James Gang Miami, like that black.
Right. There's quite a bit of black up there in general. That was lovely.
Thanks.
I do feel like that one had a little bit more of like a brooding quality to it.
Yeah, I just can see that.
Yeah, I like the nice little movement in the bass line occasionally as well. It has a nice sort of motion to it.
Yeah, right. It's fun to experiment with different things, and when you can work little bass lines into strumming, that's always nice too.
Yeah,
change it up a little.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's definitely it's definitely cool when you can pull it off. By the way, to anybody who's tuned in right now, we will be answering some questions. If you would like to ask Mike a question, feel free to toss it into the chat, or if you'd just like to send him messages of love and encouragement, those are always appreciated. I know we've got a couple people tuned in, so feel free to do that if you would like. Also, coming to the end of the program, I usually invite people to talk about what they've got coming up in terms of announcements, projects, shows, stuff of that nature, collaborations, shout outs in general. So if you have some shows that you've got coming up, which I know you do, and I can pull up the list for you if you'd like.
You don't have to. I can get
You got
the
it.
next few. Well, locally here in the Boulder area, Jamestown Mercantile, July 23rd, I think it is. It's Sunday. They have their brunch series up there, which is great. I haven't played up there yet. Their brunch is supposed to be amazing, and their beverages, and they get some really great musicians through there. So I was pretty pumped to be able to, get in there and, start the brunch.
Heck yeah.
Should be
Jamestown, huh?
Jamestown.
Mercantile.
Yep.
That almost reminds me of a television show that I kind of like called Schitt's Creek.
Oh, that's a fantastic show.
Yeah. The Apothecary, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Rose Apothecary.
Yeah, August, I have a couple I'm confirming in Denver for August, and then September back at the, for anyone that hasn't been to that Lafayette East Simpson Coffee Company. It's a community night, great place to go.
That's Thursday?
That's Thursday, yeah. It's like September 15th, I think, somewhere like that.
I'll have to check that out.
That middle of September. And then after that, up in Windsor, the Windsor Mill Tavern, which is really, again, great food, great drinks. Yeah, working on a bunch more that I can't think of off the top of my head, but there's a couple.
Nice.
To start.
So, I know you've released a couple singles. Some of them have shown up on albums.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, is Puddles in the process of being recorded? Do you have intentions to release it as a single, or do you have another LP/EP on the horizon that you're working on?
No, well, Puddles, and then I'll probably play this other one that I just wrote a couple weeks ago, since those are the two new ones. I've written more since the album, but these two. I'm probably ready to at least get a decent recording of them and put them up.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that like a more home recorded version than going back to the studio for them.
Sure. What studio did you work with for Eighth Insight?
Altitude Recording, so up on Sugarloaf in Boulder.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was fun going up there. It took a while, with my schedule, I was picking like 2 days in a row every other week, basically. So I would go up on like a Monday, Tuesday night and just, knock out 4 or 5 hours at a time. There was a few longer nights than that, but, so probably between like August and December, I was just doing that,
Yep.
with some lesser frequent visits, but, got it all done there. So.
It's nice to be able to sort of have a space that isn't necessarily at home.
It is, and then you do that, and you're like, okay, well, just paid for all that studio time. Now we're gonna reel it back and do some more home recordings. So
Yeah.
It's good to mix it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It shows, progress, and it shows variance and sort of the way in which lo-fi can kind of affect people's voice is very different, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some pretty decent, equipment to record with, so I can get some okay stuff. I'm not the greatest producer or engineer by any means, but
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about picking up an instrument at home versus picking up an instrument anywhere else.
yeah,
And being able to sort of, channel that energy at home, I think, is easier, but sometimes things are overlooked. Whereas when you're out at an open mic or at a studio recording, when you play, there's a lot more sort of onus and responsibility to get it right
yeah,
first time, and that shows up in people's playing in different ways. But it also just loses some element of intimacy and comfort. Yeah.
yeah. And then on the production arranging side, it's nice to have somebody be like, "Well, I really like that part. You should maybe think about
Of course.
playing it again, or that
Right.
part you should only do once."
The
it's
feedback
nice to have that.
is invaluable.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's good.
By the way, Lisa would like to say that you are an inspiration in how you channel your life experiences through your music.
Thank you, Lisa.
I agree.
I wrote that.
I agree. It's quite nice. That being said, we've got about 3 minutes left. So if you do want to play that last one, we could do that real quick, and we
Throwing
can
a 3-minute.
then do our little sign off.
All right. You think this dream
I have to reiterate Lisa's comment. I think when people can channel their life experience into their song, it really speaks a lot.
Thanks for listening.
Absolutely.
Having me play.
Thank you for speaking with me and speaking through your instrument and being on the sofa. It's always a pleasure. It's great to meet musicians that are out here doing it, working, and doing shows, coming to open mics maybe, hopefully soon.
Yes.
Perhaps an
likewise.
owl-themed brewery.
Yes, I think so. In the future.
I'll tell you, I think this month it's going to be June 29th.
Okay.
In case you do want to come. June 29th, I host an open mic at Sunita's. There will be an announcement about that coming out very soon. In fact, there's some big stuff in the works. If you haven't seen it yet, I am hosting a open jazz jam at Trident, which is a fantastic venue, beautiful space, back patio, majestic even, lush. At least with all this rain, a lot of the foliage is really coming out, and we will be starting that June 22nd, and then every last Thursday from then on, we'll be doing this jazz jam with a house band and people that come up, hopefully, and play with us.
Fun.
Yeah. Once again, this has been Mike Lamitola. I feel like I do have a little applause button here, actually. Here we go.
Yeah. Scooter's giving me plenty. It's good.
Yeah, there it is.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, Scooter obviously expressing his appreciation, and me too. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you, all of your experience and answers and chatting has been lovely. Great music, and we hope to see you around in the scene, in the shows. Maybe I'll come out secretly, take some photos of you.
Well, likewise. And thanks for letting me hang out on your lovely sofa.
Absolutely. This has been the Pink Sofa Hour. Next week, we have Immigrant's Child. Yes, I got it. I knew it was in there. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great show, and we'll be seeing you next week. Bye-bye.